Welcome to CU150. I'm Tim Montague, your host, and I'm joined today by Ken Cooley, who's the founder and CEO of Shapemaster, a company here in eastern Champaign County that does all things plastic and custom manufacturing. Welcome to the show, Ken. It's really great to have you here.
Thank you. It's fun to be here.
It's so cool to discover Shapemaster. I got a tour with you a couple weeks ago, and we couldn't do the interview that day, but I'm back, and you guys do so many cool different things.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the diversity of products and services that you do and how you got into building Shapemaster?
Sure, will do. Well, Shapemaster actually began out of my roots in woodworking, and I founded the company roughly 24 years ago. I'm a pattern maker, and with my woodworking background, I decided I wanted to do more with plastic than just bend it and glue it together. So I learned how to three-dimensionally mold it, started building my own equipment, and from then offered my services to inventors, entrepreneurs, and engineers. I found out that that was the core group of people we wanted to reach.
And so you were building stuff for those people out of wood when you first got started?
Yes, actually we were doing a lot of trade show displays, a lot of furniture, fine furniture, and commercial displays. And the commercial displays took us into plastics in about the mid-1980s. So I've had well over 30 years of experience in fabricating plastic. And again, you have to have very specialized equipment to hold the plastic sheet good while you're heating it and forming it, because there's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure involved. So I really didn't have access to it or had the knowledge of it back in the early 80s, but I began to study. I took specialized courses and learned how to build my own equipment. And then as things grew, we purchased equipment and just continued going. But we started with a lot of local people that were needing to have a plastic part made, but they really couldn't afford injection molding, or the parts were too large for injection molding. And so we would just find a niche and work in that area, and one thing grew out of that to another.
So let's talk about some of the industries you work with. Really the full spectrum, from two guys in a garage who are developing a new product or new products to Fortune 100 companies that are doing high volume manufacturing.
Yes, that's correct.
But let's give our listeners a little sense of that diversity. I know you work with the University of Illinois, for example. Tell us about that.
Yes, we do extensive work with research, and we have a lot of nutritional studies related things. Everything from stainless steel, which of course is a metal, versus plastic. It does involve plastics, cages. We're kind of locally famous for building pig mazes, where they're finding out how a pig learns and how it moves through a maze. We've done some work for Beckman with some helmets that we've developed and manufactured for them and a local electronics company. A lot of stuff is done in concert with other companies that are inventors, engineers, designers, and we've had a lot of fun with that. So the bottom line, I guess, is it just depends on what a person or a company is looking for, whether it's an individual that has a prototype, needs a prototype to be launched, and we start diving into that, or whether it's an engineer or a company that comes to us and says, we have a pretty good feel for what we want. Can you make this? And so we solve the problem, figure out how to produce it, and then go from there.
So you're doing both one-off custom manufacturing, small run prototyping, for example, building something that's never been built before, but you're also then actually doing some relatively high volume manufacturing, if I remember correctly.
That is correct, right. So at any given time, we will be launching at least 3 new products on the floor every week in prototype development form, while we are also simultaneously mass producing other parts that we developed maybe 10 or 15 years ago for a client, and those could be 5, 10, 20,000 units at a time. Mm-hmm. So we have mass production going on, if you want to call that mass production. We have low volume, anywhere from a few hundred to a few thousand pieces, and then we also have the startup and prototype. We're constantly introducing new components for new clients and also for those that we've been working with for 25 years.
Okay, and we have some samples on the wall behind us, and I don't know if you want to talk about some other specific cases, but everything from, like you said, trade shows, signs, but then actually, if I was designing a next generation mouse, for example, right?
Right.
You would
Right.
take a drawing and turn that into a physical form factor.
That's correct. A lot of stuff actually will start with a sketch, and even on our website, it promotes the fact that we can take something off of a napkin. You're sitting at a restaurant, you're visiting with an entrepreneur or an inventor, and they sketch something out, and they say, look, this is all I can come up with. Can you make this? Well, we will then do CAD prints for them in three-dimensional modeling. We will present that, and then from that, we will give them a quote for what it takes to prototype, the cost to prototype. And then they approve that, we launch into the prototype, and then it goes from there. A lot of plastics. We do some signage for fun and for short runs. The biggest thing that we do around here probably is custom enclosures. Everything from the Water Island water dispenser, which locally in Champaign County, people can see that at the Schnucks on Cunningham Avenue, which is in Urbana. That water dispenser, we built 1,100 of those machines, and they're in the field from Mississippi River east, all throughout the eastern part of the United States. That's dispensing reverse osmosis water in your jug. We developed that right here in our building in Ogden, along with a couple other local machinists and electricians. So, we consider ourselves the most unique and creative company in East Central Illinois because we work with such a large variety of materials: plastics, metals. We do weldments, we do fabrication in metal. With plastics, we're three-dimensionally molding it. We also offer injection molding. CNC machining, we have a number of CNC machines that can do very large format, up to 5 foot by 10 foot and 3 foot tall, 5-axis, 3-axis machines for routing and machining, and then also fabrication of sheet goods.
Yeah, that was, to see that very large CNC 5-axis CNC machine was really cool.
It's a lot of fun.
And I just want to see a larger object being shaped on that.
Yeah.
That day there was something kind of small on there, but
yeah, we do a lot of production trimming of plastic parts on that machine, and so we can't always pick and choose. If we get into a run of those, we may be booked up for a week or two just running that part solid, trimming it out.
Right.
But it's repetitive, it's precision, it's accurate, and it frees up the operator to be able to do QC steps. Label the part accurately, obviously inspection and then packaging. So the 3- and 5-axis, both mills and routers, have really freed our staff members up to be able to watch the projects as they're moving through. We have repeatability. And we are ensuring our clients, who are varied, many, and throughout the United States, we ensure them that the part is accurate. And we're basically famous within those companies of being one of their vendors that has 0 or nearly 0 defects. So they're very happy that when they can put this on their just-in-time production line and run their assemblies that have many parts coming in from all over the world, they can trust us to produce a product that is accurate. And we've been doing that for in some cases, a decade, 15 years for some of these clients, and others maybe 5 to 20 years, depending on how long they've been with us.
Now, when I think of plastic manufacturing, I think of China. How do you fit into that ecosystem? When a company is ramping up and demand for a product is rising, I can see how, sure, you're growing organically and working with entrepreneurs and then finding your niche in ag and research and enclosures.
Right.
But do companies then graduate at some point and take manufacturing elsewhere, or how does that work?
I have found that it's rare. If they start with us, it's very rare that their volumes rise to the occasion or that they have an interest in moving it offshore. The interesting thing now is we're seeing reshoring going on,
right?
Because they've realized with the cost of fuel and transportation, you just can't move the product and save that much money. Tooling is still an issue. Some people are able to get tooling in China and other places. However, many horror stories we have heard from individuals that have attempted to do it or have done it and found out that they can't get the product run to spec. So many of them have been scared off from going offshore. Plus, they really like being able to get on a plane or get in their car and come here and visit us, see the state of the tool, see the estimated time of completion, watch the first runs going on our shop floor, and then occasionally touch base with us. They like that comfort zone. And they know they're not being lied to. Plus, they know that they can come to us and physically see it being run. We don't just get a phone call or an email telling them something and then it doesn't turn out. They actually, of course, they trust us, but they also know they can come here and visit with us. And when they launch a new product, it's really, it kind of, especially if it's for the first time, it gives them that safety net of knowing they can actually shake our hand. They get to meet us. We take them to lunch. They see the community in which we're here. And there's something about East Central Illinois that's really special. And a lot of folks just really enjoy working with folks that are kind of down to earth, and you can look them in the eye and appreciate, seeing their shop and their facilities and know that they're a real company. They're not farming their work out to some other shop that's in another part of another country. It's actually right here in Illinois. Right.
Now, is your business cyclical with the greater economy, and then how did you fare during the 2008 downturn?
Right. It really isn't cyclical, although every business has to be to one degree or another. The fun thing about our company is we are very diverse. We work in so many different areas. We don't really choose to stay out of a particular area, but we have been very fortunate to work in such a diversity that when one is up, the other might be down a little bit. Where one takes a shock, something else is actually booming. And so some of our components are being manufactured for companies that are really big into restoration. So if there's a hurricane or a flood, our parts are going into components that are utilized there. In other cases, there's other parts of the country or other industries that are doing really well, and it just happens to be that it's just a nice product mix. It's really very fortunate that a lot of these do not coincide at the same time. So we're actually producing and doing really well during the summer months for one client or two or three, and then maybe when they slow down in the fall, which is natural, somebody else is picking back up. But we are also constantly adding new accounts and new parts, new components, and many of those come from a vast variety of background. About a third of our sales are in research. Some of that is medical research, so we're making components and various complete assemblies for plastic surgeons in hospitals or nutritional studies, breast cancer research and study. A lot of it is in ag, but it's geared mostly in the ag. It's geared towards research, and that's nutritional studies many times.
Yeah, you showed me the little harnesses that you've invented for the pig study, creating the soundproof room.
Right.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
So what's hot in manufacturing in general? There's a lot of news out there about 3D printing.
Yes.
Has that impacted your business at all? Is that something you embrace?
It is. It has. In fact, right here in our room, we have 2 3D printers, and we're adding a third one here in just a few weeks. Because of offering injection molding and our unique ability to jump in and do 3D CAD models and SolidWorks and other softwares and Mastercam that we use, we want to be able to offer the whole package, state-of-the-art, to a customer. So if someone comes to us and they say, look, we need to have this plastic shape made, a component made, and they say, how can you get us something quickly? We can draw it up, they approve it, we can 3D print it. 3D printing has really got a lot of potential. But it's also a niche. It's a place where you need to sort of exploit that niche and use it as much as you can for your betterment, but then recognize that it has its limitations as well. Just depends.
Right. Yeah, I mean, 3D printing seems to me like laser printing, 25 years ago. It was something that was very expensive, and now it's becoming, we're just now getting to that point where it's accessible to the everyday person.
Yes.
And of course, as that technology progresses, the different types of materials are becoming more available and so on and so forth.
Yes.
But do you see it radically transforming, like competing with CNC, for example?
It will in the short runs if someone needs 5 or 10 or maybe 50 parts. And there are some products that we're doing out there where annually they're only going to make 50 enclosures. It's going on a $30,000 or $40,000 machine. They're not going to make that many machines. It has the potential for that. The vacuum thermal forming of heavy gauge plastics that we offer, and which is part of what we offer here, really has a great niche for the inventor or the engineer. And there's local companies that we work for here out of Champaign, Urbana. And they say, look, we're only going to build 50 of these a year. It's going on an expensive device. we really think vacuum forming is the key because we can't justify injection molding, the tooling, and expense, and we may want to change the shape annually. So we can build soft tooling, short-run production tooling, which is aluminum tooling that we cut in-house. We machine it in-house. And again, someone can offer us a design. We can cut the tool in-house. They can come in and see the tool. They can approve it, and then we can form a few parts. Many of them want to be here when we're forming the parts.
Yeah, I love the the full spectrum of services and the variety of services. The vacuum forming is really neat to watch. You can see examples of all the types of manufacturing that they offer here at Shapemaster's website. That's shape-master.com. Ken, I also wanted to talk about the growth of the company and the fact that you are a family business.
Yes.
Both your wife and your children are involved in the company.
Yes.
And how did that come about, and what are your plans for the future?
Sure. Well, we have a good plan for the future. I've, of course, introduced our children to manufacturing, to design at an early age. I wanted them to understand what it was like to be an entrepreneur, for them to understand having employees in a company, managing individuals. And so at an early age, they worked with my wife and I. My wife, of course, is our bookkeeper. She does a lot of the buying and negotiating, managing insurance accounts and everything that is required in a small manufacturing company. But our children have grown up in the company, and now we have our son's 18 going into mechanical engineering at the University of Illinois, and our daughter is in advertising and media and marketing. She handles a lot of our social media here at Shapemaster and has really cut her teeth in this over the last number of years and has become quite skillful. In fact, she's been offered internships at other companies throughout the United States because they've come to know how sharp she is in that field. And she's not even completed with her degree yet, which is kind of funny, but she had a lot of on-the-job training. But yeah, we have a plan for growth. We have many of our employees that are wanting to eventually perhaps take over and run the company as I retire, which will be maybe 7 to 10 years down the road. But you begin to think about that. I've been in this company 24 years since I launched it. Been in manufacturing in East Central Illinois for well over 30 years. So I appreciate the low cost of living in Champaign County. I appreciate the good, strong work ethic that many folks bring to the table. And we work with a lot of local family-owned businesses just like ourselves that have introduced their children to it. And you just have an appreciation for business. You have appreciation for manufacturing. And like I said, the strong work ethic that many of our employees have always demonstrated through the years. And that makes us dear to them and them dear to us because we are a family-run business. And I think it's positive when you can be, and you look out for your staff because they are part of your family.
Indeed, indeed. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Ken. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
It's wonderful for us to learn more about a gem like Shapemaster, shape-master.com. You're watching CU150, the show about technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. You can reach us at CUSBDC on Twitter and on Facebook. And thanks for listening.